We know in coaching, asking questions is where you start.
Yeah.
So having permission to ask them, not be judged because you ask them, and then hear everyone's
I think today in the near future, we need leaders who can hold complexity, ambiguity, and competing pressures without rushing to simplify them.
There's so much opportunity that comes in the chaos, but you have to be able to keep your head, right, in all the change. Gigi, it's so great to see you. Hi.
Hi, Myrna. How are you?
Good. Welcome to the Business Leaders Podcast. I'm very excited to be sharing this project that you're involved with and how women leaders can become involved with you. Hey, I want to just launch in and hear your origin story. Share a little bit about your years and experience in coaching women leaders and your co-founders, and then why you decided to launch this venture, which comes to life in July of 2026.
Thank you. Thanks, Myrna. Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. And I'm here to talk about ARCIS, which is annual leadership cohort program. And it's me and my two co-founders, Jill Wardell and Elise Davis. And I was just talking to you about it. We had been meeting for about 2 years. So we started meeting for kind of cross coaching and helping each other become better coaches and talking about leadership, philosophy, and whatnot. And those were, I would say, the best hours of my weekends when, every Saturday we would meet. And about a year back, we started feeling like we truly need some kind of program which brings all these fragmented leadership support pieces together. So we see executive coaching in companies, we see conferences throughout the year, we see, okay, leaders are meeting with each other over coffee. And we thought, why not have everything together? And we can definitely do it. And we did see more of a need in the female executive world because whoever we were coaching, if she was a female executive, we almost saw every single time that she was the only woman in the room.
Yes.
So we thought how amazing it would be if we can build something intentional, something small, meaningful. So there are other programs which are huge and there are thousands of people there. But imagine in a room just 10 female executives on the same level, and it's almost like a room of mirrors. You can say, oh, this is happening with me too. And so that was the thought behind ARCIS. And talking about the three of us, I'm in Dallas Fort Worth area, and Jill is in Maryland, and Elise is in Indianapolis. So we do bring different lenses of geography to the work.
Very good. So 2 years of Saturdays.
Yes.
And the common finding among you week after week, that female leaders face unique challenges. And hey, now that we've noticed that, maybe we should do something about it.
Yes, yeah, true.
And the hive mind that you'll get out of these 10 women who they come together for 3 days in Palm Springs, is that how you kick off the cohort?
Yes, that's how we kick off. So again, in person is above and beyond of any virtual meetup. So we thought, why not just meet each other first? And so we start with a lot of mind body work as well, meditation in the morning, some yoga, and we'll have a chef on the
On site.
yes, and then we'll do some kind of activities like walking our journey. So asking just some amazing questions to each other. We have that program built out. And so in that process, we'll just really get to know each other where we are in our journeys, in our life, in our leadership. And so it will be really, I see them coming out transformed already through that retreat or immersive experience. And so that was the thought behind that. And then we continue the bi-weekly cohort sessions, which are guided sessions, but then there will be opportunity of back and forth and discussions, and we'll do rotating partner structure as well.
So it's a 12-month program that kicks off with a 3-day intensive in Palm Springs. And I
Yes.
love how you're just going to paint the landscape of where all these women are. So they're going to see, here's the picture of my kids and my dog on the phone. We had a vacation and we did a little skiing. Show me the pictures. Everybody can get to know everybody in their lives, the landscape of their business challenges, their experience, all of that. And then they can hit the ground running for that 12 months of training. And in your curriculum, you say you have 4 pillars that you kind of review. And so give the listeners an idea of you have this wonderful kickoff and everybody gets to know everybody. And then you start this biweekly kind of connection that you do, which has to be on screens because people are all over. What does the curriculum look like?
Yeah. So first of all, it is on our website. It's very well defined, some directions each session will take.
And the website is arcis.com.
It's arcis.one,
Dot,
O-N-E.
dot which now?
One.
One dot
O-N-E.
O-N-E.
Yes.
arcis.one. You're ahead of the curve there, girl.
It sounded beautiful for some reason.
From one to many, right? They'll have their own journey and then join the journeys of their cohort.
Right.
And so the pillars are outlined there. But I
Okay.
understand you're looking to help develop key strengths. Now, some women will come with these and
Yes.
they'll just continue to refine them. And for some, there may be something of a skill gap. But I do think women can have emotional intelligence on the radar, but also resilience and change management. We've talked about in the time of AI
Yeah.
and how we're following out some of the white collar workers with AI, how the change management is going to work across the enterprise or
Right.
across the scope of a company. So, why don't you share a little bit about the highlights of the curriculum there?
So the four pillars that we have based the direction of all these cohorts are emotional intelligence, resilience, change leadership, and authentic leadership, because they consistently show up in research as core drivers of leadership effectiveness. And we will base the discussions off of real life leadership situations these days. And we will also hear all the stories from them as well. Imagine the synergy there. Everyone telling their stories of current landscape, which
Well, what
is
happened with you guys for 2 years of Saturdays? Right? As you're comparing a challenge here for this leader, a challenge here for that leader, and you're bringing all of that to the table, right, for the 10 leaders that are going to join you.
yes, yeah, true.
Well,
Yeah,
it's exciting. Resilience, I think, is important too because people feel like their jobs are at risk. I was listening to a thought leader on a podcast talk about how he's employing AI across his firm and he sees the value and he sees the speed. And so he just put key leaders go to work, we'll give you tokens, figure it out. And then he discovered that his leaders were spending $100,000 a year in tokens. And they're
mm,
like, it's like they added people to payroll and we didn't know about it. It's like, wait a minute, we need a budget for tokens. And so it's like change. You
yes.
need to have good communication skills, all kinds of things to navigate all this change.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Consistent touch bases and yeah, hearing stories from everyone else and seeing where they succeeded, where they failed, and what everybody is doing to take action towards growth and learning. Yeah.
So they'll be informed about the journeys of other leaders and they'll be able to speak in a trusted, confidential environment about challenges they may be facing.
Yeah.
I know that turnover is a big challenge and having people understand that they're in a workplace environment where they're valued when all the news is you're not worth your salary anymore because we're going to pay a computer to do it. So I think having female leaders on the team can help with that understanding. And we often find, and I work with leaders of all kinds, female leaders too. The woman who's in the room is in marketing or in HR. Maybe she's the sales leader, but she's not often the technical leader. She's not often leading supply chain management or finance. And there is a little bit of pigeonholing that's happened just over time. I don't know that it was ever deliberate, but we find these patterns as we look in the rooms and see who the women leaders are and what roles they play. And so talking amongst themselves with each other brings so much value because they're heard and they're seen. And then they can say, what did you try and how did it work for you? How would I try it?
Yes, yes, definitely. So bi-weekly we meet and we have cohort topics like boundaries, resilience, modeling change, and aligning systems for change. So I'm just trying to think there are several different guiding topics for every cohort, but also we'll have one-on-one sessions every month with every one of them. So that will be very focused on their own journeys as well, like how the progress is happening. So I'm very excited about that part as well.
I really love that they are not just going to talk to each other, but they'll talk with the three of you. Because if they get an idea in the biweekly meetings, okay, this seemed to work for a couple of people, I'm going to try it. They can give you the feedback and say, it worked, it totally worked, it didn't work at all. But they have real-time feedback about their real-time challenges in this rapidly changing environment. And
Definitely.
so there's so much opportunity that comes in the chaos, but you have to be able to keep your head right, in all the change, and to have a firm skill set in change management. So if there are leaders listening to this who say, I could fine tune my change management a little bit, things are changing pretty fast. This is a benefit, and it seems like resilience comes right alongside that. Okay, this didn't go the way we wanted. I was listening to a founder, and because so many new companies are being built and they're rebuilt in new ways, and they're offshore, no, they're onshore, no, they're near shore, figuring out what to do. And this company in Australia was early in Bitcoin and then decided to do data centers and got into data centers a little too early and backed up into Bitcoin. 2 years later, they're full blown in data centers again. And that's, you need resilience
Right.
because the market is moving so quickly in unfounded, uncharted directions
Yes.
that you'll make the best case scenario and then it works, it doesn't work, it works really well, and now you need to hire 100 people. So just managing all of that.
Yes, yeah, and being adaptable, yes, quickly adapting and seeing what is the best direction. And information is good, but you need safe rooms to process them as well. I think today in the near future, we need leaders who can hold complexity, ambiguity, and competing pressures without rushing to simplify them. That's what I'm seeing. And this kind of strength is just, I think, hard to build in isolation, just trying to do it by yourself.
I think that this pullback from staffing and distributing work hours to semi-autonomous bots, we're distributing work hours with tokens to get certain things done. That puts more responsibility on the humans directing the robots, right? More responsibility on the humans using the AI tools cost effectively to get results that are viable in a marketplace. It's creating more responsibility on leaders, not less. Because
Yes.
if you had 3 layers of management to filter things through and you take that to one layer, it's up to you every day.
That is true.
So, yeah, your leadership has to be confident and you have to have an ability to forecast and then pivot. If it's, we said we were going to check in at this spot, we're checking in, maybe not. Maybe we were early, maybe we dial it back a little. So the responsibility on the shoulders of leaders is greater, not
Yeah,
lesser.
definitely. I agree.
Yeah. And imagine, I just want the female leaders or those leaders that have female leaders on their team to think about what if they had this cohort to lean on? How much more valuable would they
Right.
be in those leadership meetings and leading their teams or their divisions or whatever that looks like if they could run this by people who are also doing it in other environments,
Yes.
where the information is protected. But did you try this? This worked for us. We tried this, it didn't work. You are just more rapidly affecting change because you have an active feedback loop about what other leaders are doing. That female leader is by definition more valuable in her organization, whether
Definitely.
she owns the company and is running it or is a divisional leader. She has like these 10 amazing women, 3 amazing coaches in her back pocket. So this is a time when that kind of support could make the difference.
Yes, yeah. If they want to retain that female leader and really support them, this is incredibly valuable because she then brings back that clarity, the culture, and the leadership strength back to their team and the company.
I also think with the other companies, so many of the podcasts that I've watched, leaders that have been interviewed say, we tried this and here's what we found. And people can't get enough of that because you can only try in the instance you're in, the vertical you're in. And if you hear about other instances people are in, it just adds to the data that you can use to make good decisions.
Yes, I'm such a big proponent of that. The multi-industry point of view is just I think magical. I have felt that the light bulb moments that you get out of that, because you are
Mhm.
just in that one space for maybe, I don't know, 20 years, you're just looking at the same things. It's of high value to be meeting leaders in other industries, which you don't usually do when you are going to, let's say, your industry specific conference.
You're just all solving the same 10 problems
Yes.
instead of hearing the solutions across 100 problems
Yeah.
and being to pull from those, right? Because they could make sense for you too. I watched a little clip of a podcast of Elon. They say he's a one of one. There's one
Mhm.
Elon. But he was being interviewed by just a YouTube random podcaster, and the person wasn't on camera. He just asked this question about how they were using the heat of the engines to change something in the way the rocket lift happened. And the podcaster said, "So you're only doing that though at liftoff for the heat in the engines?" And he said, "Yes." And the podcaster asked, "How come you're not doing it for the whole life cycle of the rocket?" And
Mhm.
Elon stopped and he thought live on this camera and said,
Uh-huh.
"We should do that. I'll make that change. Thanks."
Wow.
And the podcaster went back and he goes, "Hey, I want to tell you, that's one of the best ideas I've had at SpaceX. And you came here just to interview me after a launch."
Right.
That's what it's going to take. That is the speed of iteration, to
Such a
have
good
active
point.
listening, to be willing to not own your solution as the best solution, but to be open to ideas. Let's
Right.
work together to find. And you're
Yes.
creating a cohort that's going to do exactly that.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. That's the dream. That's the vision, to just 10x their opportunities, 10x their whatever they're looking for in life. And sometimes the leaders actually don't know. They're so much absorbed in what they're working on and leading companies that sometimes they don't get a chance to pause. This is a complete investment in themselves. Yeah.
Also, the investment of having somebody else look from the outside in.
Mm.
Like this podcaster, why aren't you using that heat exchange across all of it? I'll start that now. You're
Right.
right. I'll make that change immediately. Why are we not using that?
Yeah.
But an outsider looking in, because they don't have the backstory, they don't have the iterations that got you there. They're just an outsider looking in. Have you thought about this? Is impossibly valuable, especially in a trusted group,
Yeah.
where no one is making judgments. There's no political fallout because nobody's championing this person's idea over this person's idea.
Mm.
It's just, have we thought of this? I think that the ones that are going to succeed in this crazy new world we're building will be those that have that flexibility to be agnostic about where did the solution come from. And let's just execute the best solution and
Right.
keep moving because it's going so fast.
Mm. Keep the learner's mindset.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
I really love what you're doing. Okay, so tell me again how people find you. www.arcis.one.
Yes, ma'am.
And they'll learn about getting together in Palm Springs. Your limit is 10
Yeah.
women leaders.
Yes.
Okay, so they'll find out more there. I
Mhm.
encourage women who are in leadership, their own companies, or on executive teams of larger companies to consider this and the value add you'll bring, not just to your career and your life, your experience over the next 2 or 3 crazy years where everything is changing by the minute, but to your organization,
Yes.
that you bring this value add of this hive mind to help with the pace of this change so that people can be effective and have some kind of balance in their lives so they're not burned out. I just saw an article from Harvard Business Review about AI brain rot, where people are having burnout just trying to keep up with all the
Definitely.
bots they sent to work. Now
Yeah.
they have a robot army and they have to figure out, how do I keep track of the robot army?
It is.
I
It is.
have,
Yeah. Very fast. Every day I'm hearing about a new app, and there are apps now they can do everything for you. And so it's a very challenging time for companies.
thoughtful leaders ask good questions. What is the cost benefit analysis of $100,000 worth of tokens to our engineering team? Am I getting plus $100,000 in value? Do I go to market faster? Do I save 3 iterations of the manufacturing cycle because we get it right sooner? And then what is the security risk? You
Hmm.
can't give autonomous bots core code based access
Right.
because you hear these stories about then they found out the person in this department was in a performance improvement plan
Hmm.
because they had access to HR to sort out hiring things. So we don't know the real life, real time knock on effects of the tools we're using, which is a little bit scary. Is
That's
give the kids lasers, they probably won't burn down the building. So, but
a great example.
the asking of the questions, did anybody do a cost benefit
Mm,
analysis of those tokens? And if those, I just saw an article today that in this one area, the Claude tokens were averaging $1,500. And that same process on another app was costing $500. So
mm,
why are we 3xing the cost of these tokens? Because we signed an agreement with Anthropic,
true.
how to do the search around that. And so to think there's a financial impact and a human impact and a life cycle to your process impact, and just trying to get your arms around all of that. And we know in coaching, asking questions is where you start.
Yes.
So having permission to ask them, not be judged because you ask them, and then hear everyone's ideas about it and how to answer them.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that these skills that you're offering, this curriculum, will give women a 10-year leap on what's happening and make
Definitely.
them even more valuable to the organizations, the people they serve, and
Mm.
themselves. They'll sleep at night knowing my robot army's not going to take me over.
Right.
I won't get up and find my company burned to the ground tomorrow morning because we gave them root access to what again? Who did that?
True, true. That is so true. Yes. I
Well, congratulations on this new venture. It's very exciting. Look in if you did not write it down, look in our show notes for how to get information about this and think about joining this important cohort. All leaders are valuable. Women leaders are in the minority statistically, and male and female problems are not always solved from the same point of view. Multiple point of views add value, as from the women you're curating in your cohort.
yeah.
And to put that in your back pocket during the crazy years that we're already in would be very valuable. So
Yeah.
I love what happened after 2 years of Saturdays with you three, that you
Right.
cooked this up. So
True, true. Yes,
thank you.
yeah. We're loving the product. Also, the women who join, they will have access to the community for life. It will be a
Oh,
community on school, so they can always stay in touch. They can join future cohorts as well. We plan to scale definitely to multiple cohorts a year after this
mhm.
first one. So that's where we're looking at. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful to know. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, Gigi,
Mhm.
we'll see you next time.
See you then. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye bye.